How an area school district is handling recent changes to CDC guidelines.
Democratic Texas lawmakers are calling on Congress to pass legislation that would stifle restrictive voting measures nationwide. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington with the latest and more on President Biden's Philadelphia trip, emphasizing voting rights.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Area school officials consider how they'll respond to CDC guidance for students returning to school this fall. This is KOAM News at 5. Last week's guidance from the CDC falls in line with their previous advice on masking for vaccinated adults, saying that fully vaccinated students do not need to wear masks in classrooms. The Jasper County Health Department says how COVID cases look getting closer to the school year will dictate how schools operate under this guidance.
Most schools are right now, they're sitting down. They just got this new CDC guidance as well, and just like we first saw it a few days ago, and so they're sitting down to have conversations within their district.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear from one local school district on potential plans to operate under these new guidelines for the upcoming school year. At a news conference today, Crawford County Health and Ascension Via Christi Hospital officials say the county is seeing its 4th major spike in COVID-19 cases since the pandemic began. The vast majority of those new cases, along with every recent death, are people who have not been vaccinated. Health officials reiterated that the vaccines are safe and recommended.
As I see new patients in the emergency department with COVID-19, universally their response was, I wish I would have got the vaccine because this is terrible. And we've already lost 5 people in the last 2 weeks that were unvaccinated.
Just under 50% of the county's population has received at least 1 dose of a vaccine. As the U.S. pushes to increase vaccination rates, a new warning from the FDA says the Johnson & Johnson vaccine may be linked to a very rare neurological disorder known as Guillain-Barré syndrome. The FDA says it's seen 100 preliminary reports of Guillain-Barré out of nearly 13 million people who received that 1-dose J&J shot. 95 of those cases required hospitalization. 1 person died. The Pfizer and Moderna vaccines have not been found to have a similar risk of that complication. Doug Hetty joins us. A bit warmer out there, Doug.
Yeah, a little bit hotter for us today. Temperatures mainly into the mid to upper 80s across the region. Plenty of sunshine. Looks good. Nothing is going on across the entire 4-state area, and it looks like we're going to be pretty quiet as we go through the evening hours for us tonight. You can see the Central Plains also look pretty good, but we do have our next little wave, which is slowly building out across the 4 corners of the U.S., and that will start to affect us by the time we head into late Thursday, giving us chances for showers and thunderstorms. Until then, we stay warm, temps mid to upper 80s across most of the 4-state area. Not a huge heat index, but you can see it gets a little bit hotter once you get out across southeastern Kansas and also northeastern parts of Oklahoma. Through the evening hours, we drop back through the 80s into the 70s. Of course, we're going to look at those rain chances all coming up here in just a bit.
Catch you then. President Biden is putting voting rights front and center today with a major address in Philadelphia. The president and dozens of Texas state legislators are calling on Congress to approve national legislation, as several Republican-led states have passed restrictive voting measures. Skyler Henry reports from the White House.
President Biden went to the historic place where the U.S. Constitution was signed to push for the sanctity of the ballot box.
There's an unfolding assault taking place in America today, an attempt to suppress and subvert the right to vote and fair and free elections.
His speech comes as a handful of mostly Republican-led states have passed restrictive voting measures, and less than 2 weeks after the U.S. Supreme Court upheld 2 Arizona voting rules. One of those rules bans third-party collection of mail-in ballots, and the other allows election workers to discard ballots cast in the wrong precinct.
The 21st century Jim Crow assault is real, and we're going to challenge it vigorously.
President Biden has thrown his support behind 2 voting rights bills. One is named for the late civil rights icon and Congressman John Lewis. The other, the House passed For the People Act, which was blocked by Senate Republicans. More than 50 Texas state Democratic lawmakers fled a special session in Austin for Washington, D.C. They're demanding Congress take action. It's the second time this year they've walked out to stop their Republican-led state legislature from passing new voting measures that include adding ID requirements for mail-in ballots and giving more powers to partisan poll watchers.
Texas Democrats will use everything in our power to fight back.
I think it's pretty obvious that this is nothing more than a political stunt.
Texas GOP Senator John Cornyn blasted the move, and Governor Greg Abbott has threatened to have them arrested and brought back to the State House when they return. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
The White House says Vice President Kamala Harris will meet this week with the Texas legislators who fled their state. Last week, she announced the Democratic National Committee will add $25 million to its existing efforts to register and turn out voters. A deadly fire swept through a hospital in Iraq, killing patients being treated for the coronavirus. At least 92 people died, more than 100 injured. Authorities say an oxygen canister exploded, sparking the fire that trapped COVID patients in the hospital, which medics say didn't even have a fire alarm. This is the second time it's happened in Iraq. 3 months ago, an oxygen tank blew up in the COVID ward of a hospital in Baghdad, killing 82 people. President Biden is expressing support for demonstrators in Cuba after thousands of people took to the streets in one of the country's biggest protests in decades. They're angry over the worsening economic crisis on the island. Dozens of people have reportedly been arrested in the protests, including journalists. This comes as the Biden administration reviews its policy toward the communist nation, including whether to ease or maintain economic sanctions. Still ahead, ranking the best places to live.
Which city's residents are enjoying the best quality of life and getting a great value? I'm Michael Georgia. The results of a new survey of the best places to live and how the pandemic changed people's minds.
And next in Health Watch, as at-home COVID-19 tests become more common, we have some tips for testing properly and safely. Topping today's Health Watch, another reason to brew that cup of joe each morning. Researchers from Northwestern University found regular coffee consumption of at least 1 cup daily could lower the risk of COVID infection. The results show daily consumption of 1 or more cups has been associated with a 10% decrease in risk of contracting the virus. Coffee is said to contain antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Consumption can help to ward off the virus and its worst effects. The CDC says those who've been fully vaccinated do not have to wear their masks, but more than 1 in 3 unvaccinated adults say they will not get the COVID-19 vaccine, reaching herd immunity at risk. That's why proper testing is still crucial.
Just a little bit.
For the past year, this has been a familiar sight.
People come out saying that they felt like their brain was impaled.
But even after a year of testing for COVID,
I'm still seeing it done incorrectly on news.
and now that several rapid at-home COVID tests are available to consumers, is there a danger to performing the test incorrectly?
It could result in nosebleeds, injury to the nose and the nasal cavity.
That's why a team at the University of Nebraska Medical Center has created an advanced simulation model that can be used to teach the proper skills to those performing the swab tests. It's called On PACE, the Oral Nasal Pharyngeal Anatomy Clinical Education Trainer.
We decided that it would be fun if we could do something that was more like the old operations game.
A light comes on when the student performs the test correctly. So what should you know when performing a COVID test?
You really want to think about a plane of the face, and you want to go perpendicular to that plane, straight back.
Do not direct the swab upward. The swab needs to go about 7 centimeters into your average adult. So stay still to avoid injury. Rest your head against a wall or chair and don't apply pressure.
This is more like darts. It's a nice, gentle sort of finger motion.
With proper testing and vaccines, the most vulnerable populations can be protected.
We try to do this so that no one has to do any quarantine at all.
Now, many people are born with a deviated septum, which makes it difficult to get to the area of the nose to get a proper swab sample. If resistance is felt early on, perform the test using the other nostril. The on-pace simulation can also be used for other respiratory illnesses such as strep and the flu. A diet rich in fermented foods such as yogurt increases the diversity of microbes in the gut and lowers inflammation. That's according to a study from Stanford University. Previous research has linked low microbe diversity to obesity and diabetes. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, one of the nation's biggest banks, JP Chase, reports a huge jump in profits.
Plus, we have chances for showers and thunderstorms increasing later this week. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it turned out to be a little bit hotter for us today. Very warm, humidity a little bit higher than what we saw yesterday. Still not awful, but creeping up there. But you can see 70s yesterday and then upper 80s for highs for us today. So quite a bit hotter than what we have seen. Temps right now, 86 in Fort Scott, 87 in Miami, 85 in Carthage, and then near 90 once you get out into southeastern Kansas. Chanute is sitting at 90 degrees. Also, you can see the humidity is a little bit higher in our western counties compared to dew points mainly into the mid 60s on the Missouri side. So anywhere from sticky to muggy across the region, but our humidity continues to come up a bit over the next couple days. So we have heat indices anywhere from upper 80s to upper 90s out across southeastern Kansas, northeastern parts of Oklahoma. But it looks good. Clear skies currently outside. We sit at 86, feel like 88. Relative humidity is at 49%. Through the evening hours, we slide back through the 80s, 70s, eventually down into the upper 60s a little bit later on tonight for overnight lows. Nothing going on here. In fact, we're pretty much clear across the entire Central Plains behind the storm system that rolled through as we worked this past weekend. Out to the west, we have a weak little wave out across the western parts of the Rockies, and this will start to affect us by the time we head into late Thursday, giving us chances for showers and thunderstorms for the second half of the work week. Until then, we look okay. Tonight, southerly winds will drop back upper 60s to near 70. As we go into Wednesday afternoon, heating up once again, temperatures a little bit hotter than what we have seen today. 68 to start, 86 by noon, high temp right around 91. We're going to have south winds at about 5 to 15, 10 to 15, so a little breezier than what we have seen today. Tomorrow night still looks fine. We'll get some clouds in here. We'll drop back into lower 70s. And then as we head into Thursday, most of the day is going to be dry, but here's 4 p.m. You can start to see some scattered thunderstorms popping up in our northwestern counties. Then as we go through Thursday evening, showers, thunderstorms will start to increase through the overnight hours, Thursday night into Friday morning. Some of these storms could be strong and drop some heavy amounts of rain. So batches of heavy rain continue as we go into Friday morning, and then we'll start to see a little bit of a break by the time we head into Friday afternoon. But look at the rain chances. They stick around. This is Friday night into Saturday into Sunday. So we're going to have chances for scattered showers and thunderstorms each and every day as we go through the weekend into early next week. And rainfall amounts really from about Thursday until about Monday, a lot of areas could pick up 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of rain as we get this kind of next little system that is going to roll through by the time we head into the weekend. 91 tomorrow, 91 Thursday. Scattered thunderstorms mainly Thursday night and Friday morning, then a break, and then pop-up thunderstorms once again Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and even into Tuesday of next week.
So we're definitely not during a drought at the moment.
No, not at all. We could pick up quite a bit of rain once again.
Thanks, Doug. Coming up, a report lists the best places to live in the U.S. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Donald Weekley served in the U.S. Army from 1951 to 53. The Nevada, Missouri native was stationed in Japan, and we salute Private First Class Donald Weekley, a four-state hero. Topping Consumer Watch, a parade of earnings reports kicks off today with results from JP Chase. Our nation's biggest bank says profit more than doubled to nearly $12 billion. Credit card spending increased on categories like travel and entertainment, but borrowers are paying down their debt quickly. Cost of living in the U.S. rose in June. According to the Labor Department, consumer prices increased nearly 1% last month, and prices are up 5.4% since last year. Different factors are driving rising inflation, including supply chain issues, which are pushing up the cost of new and used vehicles. And as the world continues to reopen, demand for dining out and travel is also triggering higher prices. Sam's Club is trying out a new feature that lets customers scan and ship bulky items. The discount chain will allow customers to scan big ticket purchases like mattresses, widescreen TVs, and have them shipped home. Delivery time is expected to take 3 to 5 business days. Boulder, Colorado tops the list of best of the places to live in the U.S. That's according to U.S. News and World Report. The city's job market fared better during the pandemic than those in other metro areas, and Boulder meets other top criteria for people who say the pandemic has changed their mind about where they live. Reporter Michael George has more.
If you're looking to move, Boulder, Colorado may be the place. The city topped U.S. News and World Report's list of best places to live for the second consecutive year. Realtor and Boulder resident Alex Miller isn't surprised.
It's just a fantastic place to live. I love getting out and hiking. I'm a big runner, so it's a very friendly spot.
Boulder's best qualities include its outdoorsy lifestyle and a strong job market.
Despite the fact that the entire country experienced skyrocketing unemployment throughout 2020, Boulder's market was able to remain relatively stable and keep unemployment rates pretty low.
The magazine looks at data on the country's 150 most populous metro areas and weighs it against responses from a desirability survey of more than 3,600 people nationwide. Rounding out the top 5, Raleigh and Durham, North Carolina, Huntsville, Alabama, Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Austin, Texas.
They certainly offer kind of the amenities of a big city that people want to see, but it also has sprawling suburbs and areas that allow people to get outdoors. They don't necessarily feel so packed in.
New York City actually tied Boulder as the 10th most desirable place to live. But what bumps the Big Apple down the overall list is the price tag.
These biggest cities in the country and their surrounding metro areas are unfortunately for a lot of people not that easy to afford.
U.S. News and World Report says for a third of Americans, the pandemic has changed their opinion about where they live, and 11% have already moved or plan to do so. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
U.S. News and World Report says we may see some big differences in migration in a couple of years as a result of the pandemic. Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more on whether a local school district plans to follow recent CDC guidance. Plus, a new hardware store is coming to Frontenac, Kansas, and it's bringing new jobs with it. And the Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce members sign a pledge to create a more diverse community. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. A new Shanghai museum opening this week is out of this world. The Shanghai Astronomy Museum is a 420,000 square foot building, the largest astronomy museum in the world. It features exhibits, planetarium, an observatory, and a 78-foot tall solar telescope. The unique building was designed to reflect the geometry of the cosmos. They say there are no right angles, no straight lines. The structure is formed by 3 overlapping arcs, demonstrating that everything in the universe is always moving.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. The universe is also expanding. I'm not sure the museum is going to keep expanding.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Anyway. The weather pretty nice.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. We are heating up quite a bit over the next few days. 91 tomorrow, 91 on Thursday. We are going to get a pretty good batch of showers and thunderstorms Thursday night and into Friday morning, and then kind of hit and miss storms lasting into the weekend.
Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.